man behind Prisoner and Crooks Hollow. We're going to sit down with Emery as we dissect his role as the lead singer and guitarist of Prisoner and running and operating his own studio, Crooks Hollow. Stay tuned on the music.
Welcome to The Music, where we explore how the music shapes the world around us. From artists and film to business and culture, join me as we uncover the purpose and power behind every note. Let's talk about the music.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Music. We just finished having a great conversation with Emma Harding, all about being an advocate for the artist and the amazing things she's doing. Now I'm sitting here with my good friend, Emery. This dude is a legend in the studio, on the guitar, in his band, producing. He is very knowledgeable in this, what we call music industry, and a pleasure to have him on. Murray, thanks for being here, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course, man, of course. So out of all the hats you wear in this industry, what's like your favorite one?
I would probably just have to go with being a band guy. I mean, that's kind of why I got into all of this, being a guitar player and not wanting to just be one thing in the industry. So I would say that's my favorite, just because it was something that's been, I guess, the initial factors to why I'm doing all the things that I'm doing now.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, as someone, you know, who's smart and going through the industry and realizes, okay, I want to be in a band, I want to do this. It's like, oh, being really good at guitar and having a really good band is like a quarter of the battle. You know,
Absolutely.
You realize all the other things now that are important, you know, and that's why we see so many bands that can be at the top that maybe aren't the most talented, you know what I mean? But they got there. So now when you have a talented band, a talented group of guys, and you're putting in all that work for the details, you know, that's really amazing.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And in that process, is that what kind of like inspired you to want to create and curate your own studio space?
100%. I mean, for me, I just didn't want to be the guy that was just a guitar player or just a vocalist. I wanted to understand the industry that I was getting into as a whole, but because there isn't necessarily a 4-year degree to go into the music industry, and it's kind of isolated where you can kind of go 2 or 3 different directions, whether it's the technical side, the management side, and the business side of that, or you're going to the musicianship side and production world. I wanted to try to go to school and understand as much as I possibly could from every facet within all of those areas of expertise, so that I could have a foundational understanding to come back to being a band guy and incorporate all of that into what I'm doing now as a studio owner and running Crooks Hollow, and all of the things that I'm doing to build everything together all in one kind of facet for myself.
Yeah, no, I find that so fascinating, especially just like all the work it takes, and like each facet has its own like vocabulary. You know, it has like its own dictionary, it has its own like freaking textbook of knowledge that you have to understand in the minutia. Because a lot of people just don't get that. You don't know what you don't know. But if you go in a studio and you start talking that language, you know, talking TRS to whatever, that people are right away are like, wait, what? You know, it's a whole language you got to understand. And then, you know, knowing even behind that of like not only what you're using for gear, but how that gear works, how that gear might need to be replaced, what goes into that sort of stuff. You know, like those are the kind of details that you know about so many of these different areas of the industry. And I think that's to everyone's benefit that you work with.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing too, is building those interpersonal skills with people so that you can be that person not only for yourself, but for the community and people around you. Because I think that's the biggest thing that we're missing right now in the industry, especially in a place like Western Canada, where Calgary is one of the biggest growing cities in Canada. And I think we are the next big city for arts. So if we're at the forefront of this, and we're the ones that are setting the standards, like yourself going through the industry and how we met, we can build kind of a staple in terms of how people are working together and treating each other. And it's a lot more positive in an environment that's going to foster positivity for everybody, rather than creating friction and tension and pulling people apart, because then it just isolates us so that we're picked off one by one. Whereas if we can work as a group together, eventually we're going to make enough noise that people can't ignore us anymore.
I love that mentality. I love that. Yeah, you know, if build it and they'll come, you know, 100%. Be loud enough, you know, the squeaky wheel, gonna get lubed up
100%
in the right way. So like that's you know, exactly, man. And I agree. I think Calgary really is such a growing market. There's so much talent here, and it's a matter of bringing that all together. Speaking of all the talent here, let's talk about your band,
100%.
Prisoner. Big fan, love it. I don't think there's a lot of younger bands doing what you guys are doing to that level.
Thank you, man.
Bring us into it. Bring us like the elevator pitch of what Prisoner is and whatnot. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Prisoner is your traditional hard rock heavy metal band from here in Calgary. And I'd like to say that we take a lot of the inspiration from legacy acts like Black Sabbath, AC/DC, Megadeth, Metallica, Iron Maiden, but do it in a way that isn't an exact ripoff of the kind of revival of traditional heavy metal, where we take a lot of influence in modern rock and metal music as well. So it allows us to create a unique or kind of niche-oriented approach to the genre, so that we're heavy enough for the metal community to enjoy what we do and be a hard rock heavy metal band, but also not so heavy that we're isolating ourselves or pigeonholing what we do into a niche genre. Because I think Prisoner does have a very broad sound, because like even on this next record that we have coming out in June, it's, you know, we've got a ballad on this record, we've got some pretty heavy songs, we've got a nice balance, and it's kind of sneaky in terms of how heavy we are getting, because we're doing some of these very heavy things, but in a way that is suiting and fitting more, I guess, pop structured music.
Yeah. It's I like you said, in a sneaky way, but it's like, it's one of those things where things can be so heavy and but still be polished enough to have that appeal.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean, like things don't like some things get so dirty and intense, and then that comes with like what people imagine is like just so much distortion and screamo. It's just noise. Where like there's also, dare I say, some of Nickelback stuff. Those things sound pretty heavy. Some of the bass lines and some of the mixing on that, like it's heavy, but it's a pop record. You know what I mean? I'm not in any way comparing Prisoner to Nickelback. I want to make that clear. But just from what he's saying, you know, and the aesthetics of it, things can be heavy, but still have that appeal to other people.
Absolutely. And I mean, I range from like 60s folk music like Nick Drake to modern tech death metal like Allegiant. So for me, my interests and the flavors that get put into Prisoner vary a lot. So for me, it's just I make music that I enjoy, and there is an overwhelming, or an overarching, I should say, scope for what we do, so that it just kind of makes sense for us, but we're not just, oh, they're this type of thing. So
exactly. And I think a great way to get to know that is to go to a Prisoner show.
Absolutely.
I've had the pleasure of going to one, and I know that my fiance and an old man who went to the last one had a killer time. Tell people they can expect like at a Prisoner show, because you guys really do go above and beyond the typical local act.
Absolutely. I mean, for us, our entire goal is always try to understand, again, the industry. And for us as a rock band, how can we be different from every other artist or group of guys that have guitars and a drum kit? You know, and for us, it's our entertainment value. It's what we bring to the stage, our energy, and even just how we dress, how we look. We have a certain aesthetic. We're running our own lighting system and backdrops and scrims and everything in dive bars, so that when we get the opportunity to continue to move forward, people see us and they're like, wow, how long have these guys been around? What have I been missing? And it feels like they've missed out on something. So then they're more inclined to continue to work with us and follow us and see what we're doing and developing. And I think over the last few years that Prisoner has been an entity, we finally have a solid line of people that are doing exactly what we need to do to put ourselves in a position to be successful. Hence why we're booking the tours that we are and doing the whole cross Canada thing and putting out, you know, in this last year, we'll have put out 24 songs in 16 months.
Nice work, man.
So it's one of those things where you can see the entire development from our first record that I was doing as a teenager to this EP that was done in my studio right when it was first finished, and having all that music that was pre-written as a teenager to, you know, playing a few shows, doing the things that we're doing locally in Alberta, and then now doing this whole new record with an entire group of people that are behind what we're doing, and seeing the development of who we are as musicians, myself as a vocalist, as a guitar player, and how our chemistry has interconnected us as a band to put something out that I think is fresh and unique, but also is showing off our abilities as adults and as musicians.
Yeah.
So I think it's a massive step forward.
Yeah, well said, man. No, and I would agree with that. And that's just sort of tenacity and drive is just so evident in everything you do. Like, people think, oh, I'm going to go do my first tour. You don't just get handed a pamphlet with your itinerary. Like, you book your first tour. You go and sleep in shitty environments. And that might be a good environment for the night. You know, you do what you got to do you go hungry, you go tired, and I know you have experience living in a van, already putting in these hours, you know, in California and other places, and so it gives you the knowledge and also the expectation of what to expect going into these things, you know, and so that's why, you know, Prisoner's going on tour again. They're going on tour this year. I'm very excited. Tell me some of the highlight dates of that tour coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Our first leg is announced right now. We're doing most of BC and Alberta, so we're playing Vancouver, Penticton, Kelowna, Cranbrook, and then we're playing here in Calgary on June 7th. We got Red Deer, Edmonton, Lethbridge, and then the second leg is going to be announced here in a few weeks, as well as the rest of the album and the specific dates for that. We're working with some newer promotional companies to us that I think are really going to help us and benefit what we're doing to kind of push us in the right direction to continue to develop.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome, man. And where can people stay caught up? Where can they find more about you and Prisoner online, social media? Where can they find out about other tour dates?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find all of our socials and stuff through our website at www.prisonerband.ca. We're on Instagram at Prisoner Band Official. We're on Facebook, Prisoner Band Official, same sort of thing. And then if you're interested in following kind of the tech side of what I'm doing, you can follow the studio at Crooks Hollow Studio on Instagram, or you can find my personal account on social media, which is m.emery99, which will get all of my stuff everywhere because everything's interconnected. So, yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, Murray, thanks so much for being here with me and chopping it up. And I'll see you in the studio this week to get back to work.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers, man. Hey, y'all, you're watching the music. Just finished up a great conversation with Murray Emery. Next up, I'm chatting with Malika Haley. She is a powerhouse vocalist and R&B songstress. Looking forward to chatting with her next.
Thanks for tuning in to the music. Remember, the music is always playing a bigger role than we think. Stay curious and keep listening. Until next time, see you there.